Gran actor y productor, Kirk Douglas fue el protagonista de magníficas películas. Retorno al pasado, de Jacques Tourneur, Cautivos del mal, de Vincente Minnelli, El gran carnaval, de Billy Wilder, Carta a tres esposas, de Joseph Mankiewicz, 20.000 leguas de viaje submarino, de Richard Fleischer, Los vikingos, de Richard Fleischer, El ídolo de barro, de Mark Robson, Ulises, de Mario Camerini y Mario Bava, El loco del pelo rojo, de Vincente Minnelli, Espartaco, de Stanley Kubrick, Senderos de gloria, de Stanley Kubrick, El compromiso, de Elia Kazan.
Yo hablo castellano, catalán, basc, gallego. ¿Qué prefería usted?
Si vol ho fem en català.
No, yo prefiero inglés.
You prefer... I knew you would say that. But I know you speak a marvelous French, too.
No, well, I spoke French because that's in Paris is where I met my wife and where I made a film in... Je l'ai fait dans deux versions, en français et en anglais. Comme ça, j'ai été obligé de l'apprendre.
Mais je vous ai vu la semaine dernière à la télévision française. Votre français est très excellent, je pense.
Non, pas très excellent parce que je n'ai pas l'occasion de le parler très souvent.
Et vous chantez encore plus mieux?
Oh, oui, j'ai chanté dans toutes les langues.
Ah oui?
Oui.
Même en catalan? Ou en basque? Ah oui?
Si vous voulez. De domingo a domingo que tengo fe, cuando será domingo, salita linda para volver, basta.
Well, let's talk and then we sing. When you remember your life, now a successful man in so many fields, how was it like to be the Rankman's son?
Well, you know, Terenzi, why would I write a book? See, for 40 years, I have made 80 films, and I have had many interviews like this when someone asks me questions, and usually I talk about roles that I've played in a movie. But finally I decided, I have lived too long in the world of fantasy, 80 films. I want to make sure that I know who I am. And that's why I started to write my book, and I decided that I am yo estoy el hijo del tapero. And I must not forget that. No. I am a snob in reverse. I must not forget where I came from and where I've arrived.
Well, you say you've been living in fantasy, but in those days, did you need fantasy when you became an actor?
Well, the reason most actors... And I explained this in my book. I think in my case, because I had 6 sisters and my mother, and I think the most important theme of my book is the relationship or the lack of the relationship between me and my father.
Yeah, that was
very often when I was young, to escape, I lived in a world of fantasy. And I think that was the beginning of becoming an actor.
For a long time you had been very secretive about your love stories, and suddenly you uncovered them. Why?
If you want to write about your life, vida.
Yeah.
What is vida? Love, death, sex is very important in life. You cannot write a true story about your life, and if you exclude it. Now, Terenzi, I'm going to disappoint you, because I don't talk about the women in my life on television shows. I have written it in my book.
No, we are not going to talk about that.
It is there for those who want to read it.
Yeah.
But the reason, Terenzi, I felt it was important is because, to me, writing a book is like a mosaic. You take all the little pieces of your life and you put it together, and then I can look at it. My children can look at it. My wife can look at it. To me, the most important thing about my book, when I finished writing it, my wife never knew what I was writing. Before I published it, I gave the book to my wife. We have been married for 35 years.
Yes, I know.
I said, Shaggy, you read the book. If you don't like it, we don't publish it. If there's anything in the book you don't like, we take it out. My wife read the book. She never said one thing about women in my life. All she said is, you're too hard on other people, but you're harder on yourself. And also, she says, I'm surprised you have so much anger inside of you. And she's right. But she says, I think it's a good book, so I published it.
Your social background was as much depressing as you say, as you tell in your book.
I was very, very poor. I didn't have enough to eat. My parents were illiterate Russian immigrants who came to this country. But, Terenzi, I think all of that, for me, was an advantage because I was on the bottom. I couldn't go lower. I had to go up.
Yes.
And that is why I think my 4 sons, I admire them for what they have done more than I admire what I have accomplished in life, because they come from a different background. They always knew they had enough to eat. They knew they had a rich father. They saw affluence all around them, and yet they have the motivación. Is there a word like that in Spanish?
Motivación.
Motivación to do something in life. And that, I think, is wonderful.
And in one part of your book, you said that you advise your son Michael against the danger of success. Is that true?
Terenzi, I advised my 4 sons, cuatro
Four,
hijos,
yes, I know.
never to go into cinema.
Never to go.
Never. They are all in cinema.
All in. You couldn't help that.
I should have told them, go into cinema, and then maybe they wouldn't go. But in Michael's case, as I say, I always make him laugh, because I say, Michael, if I knew you were going to be so successful, I would have been much nicer to you when you were young. How was I to know you were going to be so successful? But I am more proud of how Michael handles his success than I am of his success. Because in our profession, it is very important that you realize that all these are roles. Every role that you play on the screen is a little bit of yourself, but it's a role. Maybe there's a little bit of me that's Spartacus.
Yeah.
You know, a little bit of me that's the Vikings, but I am not Spartacus. I am Isser Danilovich. That is my real name that I talk of in the book. That's the one who has the talent.
One feels that you had a bit of struggle to assume your Jewish identity. Was so hard? Was it so hard in America?
Well, Terenzi, it is hard to be a Jew. Is difficult anywhere in the world. I have had an added problem because all through my life, people would say, oh, you don't look Jewish. I don't know what that means, because I have seen Jewish people with red hair, long faces, dark skin, light skin, all kinds of things. But anti-Semitism, I think, has existed for years. It exists now, and it will continue to exist. In my book, as you know, I describe the problems that I've had, especially in my early years, dealing with anti-Semitism. So I think to be a Jew is, for me, a challenge. It's dramatic, because I am proud of the Jewish culture.
I've read somewhere that you were a very ambitious man. Is that true?
Very
ambitious.
Vicious?
Ambitious. Ambitious. Maybe I'm not pronouncing that well.
What, I don't understand, Terenzi.
Yes, but I'm pronouncing that well.
Say it in Catalan.
Ambicioso. Huh? Ambicioso.
Oh, ambicioso, I understand.
You understand that?
Ah, yes. Ambitious.
So your hair is much better than my pronunciation. Anyway.
No. Ambicioso. Yes. Because I wanted to do something with my life.
Yeah.
You know, in my country, there are immigrants. We are a country. What is it to be an American? A real American is to be an American Indian.
Yeah.
Everybody are immigrants, or their parents were immigrants, or their grandparents. So, obviously, the son of immigrants, born in poverty. And it's funny to me, Terenzi, when I was writing my book, that all these memories of when I was very young, that I have pushed away, that were way down inside of me, came back very clearly. And that's why in my book, I talk about Isser Danilovich, which was my real name. I talk as if he's right inside of me. And he has been there all the time, and I ignore him. Now I am aware that that is the part of me that has the talent. Kirk Douglas, which became my legal name, is the name, but Isser Danilovich is the one who has the talent.
Isser Danilovich wanted to be a theater actor much more than a movie actor. That was your dream, wasn't it?
Isser Danilovich failed because my dream was to be a famous actor in the theater. And I have done many plays in the theater, but never very successful. The last play I did on Broadway was One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, which I did for 6 months. It was not a success.
It was not a success.
Even though I thought it was a wonderful play, I thought the audience liked it. It was too early.
Great directors like Weiler and Minnelli says that you were a most cooperative actor, but others say that you were very, 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 very difficult.
Terenzi.
Who are right?
Terenzi, it's better that directors like Billy Wilder and Weiler say I was a cooperative actor, and other people whose names you don't know say I was not. Because I like to think that the talented people that I have worked with, actors, directors, did not find me difficult. But people who did not have much talent, they might have found me difficult. I prefer it that way than au contrario, no?
Yeah. But that being easy was nobody, you mean.
Exactly.
Yeah. And well, at the very peak of your career, you became a producer, which was a risk. Why?
But the reason I formed my production company was I didn't want a writer just to hand me a script, and I play the role. I wanted to participate in more of the creative aspects of making a film. And that's why I formed my own production company, and Bryna was the name I gave it. We found Spartacus, The Vikings, 7 Days in May, Paths of Glory. I found quite a few pictures that I enjoyed working with the director, with the writer, and I enjoyed doing that.
When you did that very film, Van Gogh, well, you named your second son Vincent after Van Gogh, I think.
That's right. That's his second name, Peter Vincent Douglas. My son, who's produced, he produced the picture Nimitz that I did. He produced Amos. He produced Inherit the Wind. He produced 3 movies that I was in. So I'm beginning to work for my son.
I mean, that character, Vincent Van Gogh, was so important to you.
I have always felt that an actor must always be in control. He never loses himself in the role that he's playing. He gives the impression. That's the talent of being an actor. The audience, they lose themselves. For 2 hours, they watch the screen, and they forget everything, and they get lost in what's happening on the screen. But when I did Van Gogh, I felt that I was beginning to get lost in the character. My wife would say when I came home after shooting, she said for hours after that, she felt I was still Van Gogh. So it upset me. When I finished the picture, for a long time, I never would look at the picture.
Well, your Vincent Van Gogh didn't win an Oscar And the Oscar went to Yul Brynner for that silly musical, The King and I. How did you feel?
I was disappointed.
I was
very disappointed.
Very, very.
As I wrote in my book, I was in Munich. I was in the hotel in Munich. I don't know whether I was doing Paths of Glory or the Vikings. I don't know what I was doing. I think
the Vikings.
The Vikings.
Yes.
And all the photographers were downstairs when I went to sleep, because they were all ready to go up to my room and catch the picture of the victory smile. But I didn't win, so all the photographers left, and no victory smile. But then there was a knock on the door, and I opened it. I opened the box, and there was an Oscar that my wife had written, an Oscar that she gave me from herself and from my son Peter. Eric wasn't born yet. So it was very charming of her. She thought, well, maybe, because everybody had convinced me, oh, yeah, you will win, Kirk. Yeah. I didn't win.
You never had an Oscar,
no.
And your son Michael has been awarded twice.
Twice. Loser.
How do you feel? Proud, I imagine.
Orgulloso. Orgulloso?
Orgulloso?
Orgulloso.
I don't know the word. How would you tell it?
There's a Spanish word, yo estoy...
Orgulloso. Orgulloso.
Proud. Why is it you don't speak my Spanish? You don't speak Basque.
Maybe my Spanish is worse than yours.
No, I see. I am very proud. See, because when Michael won 2 Oscars, especially when he won the last Oscar, he said some beautiful things when he received the Oscar. I was home looking at television. I was afraid to be there because my sons have never seen me cry. And I don't want them to see me cry. So I'm at home. I thought maybe he would win, even though I thought he deserved the Oscar for Fatal Attraction, not for Wall Street. I thought he was wonderful in Wall Street. I thought he was better in Fatal Attraction. But you know, Terenzi, in my philosophy, see, I'm egotist. To me, Michael, you know, sometimes I think that's very good. Sometimes I wonder if maybe it's like when I wrote El Hijo del Trapero, I think maybe when it's translated in Spanish, I write better. And sometimes I think the same thing. Not always. Sometimes I don't like to hear my another voice dubbed. I think that's very well done.
I read you were writing a novel. Is literature a second career to you?
Well, I don't think one book makes you a writer any more than one film makes you a star or an actor. So when my novel comes out, maybe I will come back again and we will talk. Then we'll find out whether or not I am really a writer. Because in a novel, you are not talking about all your feelings and thoughts. You are creating a whole new set of characters. And that will be the proof, and we will see whether or not I'm a writer.
Well, I hope in your novel or anything you want, you can do the same thing you've done with this and many other characters. Marvelous things. Thank you very much, Mr. Douglas, for being here.
Terenzi, I enjoyed it.
It's been a great, great pleasure.
Terenzi,
it's been great for me.
I would like to say that it's been a pleasure talking to you. But I would like to tell my Spanish amigos that it's a greater pleasure to be on the same stage with Maria Espert, and I hope someday that we may have the opportunity to work together. I promise
you. Wonderful.
I will learn Spanish fluently.
I can wait. I can wait.
Thank you very, very much, Mr. Douglas.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Suscríbete y toca la campanita. Así podremos avisarte cada vez que haya un nuevo vídeo disponible.